Shahraz Walji.
What's happening?
I'm just logging in.
I just said, it looks like I'm live. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. So, hi everybody. This is David Sereda. We're continuing the Gnostic Christian series. And I hope I'm live here. Can somebody tell me if I'm actually live or alive? Am I live, Shiroz?
Can you hear me, David? Not
Yeah,
yet.
I don't know if
gonna
I'm
make
live
it
or not.
live right now. Yeah, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay, so today we are going to go into what's called the trimorphic protonoia. And the trimorphic protonoia, it obviously means three forms, right? It means God appearing in three forms, which is the masculine, the feminine, and the child. But it also goes into where God actually is. And you know, if we've been following along here in all the previous episodes I've done, you can see how balanced. And I don't want to call the Gnostic Christians like a cult or a side wing of Christianity. They're the original apostles. So modern Christianity is mainly the sub-apostle Paul's Christianity. I say sub-apostle because he didn't physically walk with Christ, but yet he dominates Christianity in the New Testament. So you can see what's been removed. What was the greatest threat to the Romans and the all-male God of the Roman Empire was a God that was balanced in both the father and the mother and the image of the child, because the empire was being ruled by an all-male hierarchy, an all-male Roman Senate, and an all-male God, which is Jupiter, which is one and the same as Zeus, who basically, you know, tells the people that you are inferior subjects and you're under my rulership. And the Roman Senate are the embodiment of the gods, and you're to pay homage to them and pay your taxes to them. So the people were tired of this because Christ gave them, he vindicated them, but he also awakened the divine feminine, because that's what we see in all of the Gnostic Gospels. And again, calling them Gnostic Gospels is really not the right way to call them, because when we look at the Roman councils, they eliminated over 2/3 of the testimony, because they eliminated the testimony of all the women witnesses to Christ, and they eliminated most of the men, because you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and you've got 1st and 2nd Timothy, which are minor contributions. So what we've been doing in these episodes is looking, you know, page by page, going through each paragraph of the Gnostic series. So today I'm going to put the trimorphic protonoia in the chat so that people can, I can post it as a comment. People can pick this up for themselves. And again, I've read these, you know, over the course of 25 years so many times. And so we're looking here. I'm just going to start reading trimorphic protonoia. I am protonoia, the thought that dwells in the light. I am the movement that dwells in the all. She in whom the all takes its stand, the firstborn among those who came to be. She who exists before the all. She, protonoia, is called by 3 names, although she dwells alone, since she is perfect. I am invisible within the thought of the invisible one. I am revealed in the immeasurable, ineffable things. I am incomprehensible, dwelling in the incomprehensible. I move in every creature. You see, we're starting to see where God actually is. And this gets really challenging, because the next part is you're going to see why it's challenging. I am the life of my epinoia. Remember, epinoia in Greek is the luminous thought that was planted in every single human being that allowed us to surpass our physical creators. And that the chief god of our physical creation is not the supreme god, but is an egotistical god, not unlike Zeus, and might be one and the same as Zeus and Jupiter, who, when he sees that once the Adama and the Eve are regenerated, again, there were human beings living on the planet prior. This is a regenesis. It's not the first human. The huge mistake that Jesus corrects in the secret gospel of John, that we are a re-engineered human, a regenesis human, and the moment the supreme God, because it seems to be able to holographically slip inside of everything that lives, it plants this luminous seed in us, and the ruling God, the chief of the archons, gets jealous and casts the human race to the lowest region of matter. And that is again one of the greatest riddles of all time in the secret gospel of John, because it's a great wonder that wherever astronomers look, it doesn't matter what planet or what extra solar system planet, meaning planets beyond that are in solar systems beyond ours, they can't see evidence of life anywhere. And that's also when we look at the speed of light problem, the speed of light is so slow, and that Einstein sets this limit for the speed of telecommunication and the speed, oh, hang on, of everything. We might be literally oh, hang on. Am I not live?
Okay, I'm not into but it says you're in live, so.
I'm in here. Yeah, I've been going. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, but it keeps popping me out, so I might not be able to be there with you.
Yeah, can everybody still see me? I just need to know if I'm really here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what's important about this is that we may have had a type of time dilation event. Hello?
They can see you because I can see you on YouTube. It's just like it keeps bumping me out of the internet.
Okay, he's biting you. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. Thank you.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Because the very fact that this God was jealous that we had this luminous seed in every one of us that could surpass the physical angry jealous God, the all-male God, he obviously was powerful enough to use some type of a weapon, I'll call it, a time dilation weapon that casts the human race to the lowest region of matter itself, not a geographical location, but something is coded on the atom with which we are all made of that isolates us, sequesters us, and causes us to age and not live in eternal healthy bodies, and also to give birth to disease and death. So what we're seeing is maybe the answer to the ultimate riddle is what we don't see the universe in real time. It's almost like we're in a slow motion, isolated, alternate universe right now. Because if we saw the universe in real time, there would be no light speed limit. But there is one function that is faster than light that's instantaneous. It was discovered by the physicist Paul Dirac, who was a Nobel Prize winner. And Dirac postulated and actually found evidence of a sea, I'll just call it a sea of oneness, or a substratum of the universe of oneness, where there is no duality, there is no positive and negative or good and evil, if you want to call it that. So positive and negatives push against each other and slow things down. So in what is called a time dilation, or this isolated universe that isn't the real universe. But what Einstein labeled as action at a distance, which is that our consciousness can communicate faster than light instantaneously, but that visible light could not do that. So that would mean that the only way that we could see the real time and the real universe is through consciousness, which is really amazing. That if we awaken this this luminous seed that was planted in every one of us, we would actually experience the real universe, and that we're not experiencing while we are asleep. So watch what happens in this work. I am the life of my epinoia that dwells within every power and every eternal movement, and in invisible lights and within the archons and the angels and demons, and every soul dwelling in Taros, and in every material soul. I dwell in those who came to be. I move in everyone, and I delve into them all. I walk uprightly, and those who sleep I awaken. And I am the sight of those who dwell in sleep. So this is to say that the protenoia, which is the supreme consciousness, which is feminine, by the way, actually exists even in the archons, in the invisible lights, and the angels, and even demons, and every soul, because it's in a way, it's the supreme God is allowing this drama to unfold. But yet the moment it wants to end it, it can end the whole thing in a blink of an eye. And that's probably why Dante called it a divine comedy, because the whole thing is comical when you get to see it from that perspective. So I am the invisible one within the all. It is I who counsel those who are hidden, since I know that all that exists in it. I am numberless beyond everyone. I am immeasurable, ineffable, yet whenever I wish, I shall reveal myself of my own accord. I am the head of the all. I exist before the all, and I am the all, since I exist in everyone. So where does this supreme God, goddess exist? In everyone. But yet it's also saying that I walk uprightly in those who sleep, and I awaken those who sleep. So it's really an awakening process to come into this consciousness that when you come to see the real universe, what's really happening in the universe, that's the real universe, then you have what you call your spiritual awakening, where you realize that the ineffable God, the real God, is not a king or a queen sitting on a throne telling everybody what to do at all. It's that there are many great beings that attain the true divine status of supreme consciousness, but even the ones who do, they're still not the all. They're still not the all. So the trimorphic protenoia, again, is not it is a true Christian, early Christian manuscript that was taught to the original apostles by the original teacher, Isa, Jesus. I descended to the midst of the underworld, and I shone upon the darkness. It is I who poured forth the water. It is I who am hidden within the radiant waters. I am the one who gradually put forth the all by my thought. It is I who am laden with the voice. It is through me that gnosis means real knowledge, experiential knowledge, comes forth. I dwell in the ineffable and unknowable ones. I am perception and knowledge, uttering a voice by means of thought. I am the real voice. I cry out in everyone, and they recognize it, the voice, since a seed indwells them. I am the thought of the Father, and through me proceeded the voice. That is the knowledge of the everlasting things. I exist as thought for the all. Being joined to the unknowable and incomprehensible thought, I revealed myself. Yes, I am among those who recognize me. For it is I who am joined with everyone by virtue of the hidden thought, and an exalted voice, even a voice from the invisible thought. It is immeasurable, since it dwells in the immeasurable one. It is a mystery. It is unrestrainable by the incomprehensible one. It is invincible to all those who are visible in the all. It is a light dwelling in light. So it is invisible to all those who are visible in the all. It is we who alone have separated from the visible world. See, it is we also who alone have separated from the visible world, since we are saved by the hidden wisdom by means of ineffable, immeasurable voice. And he who is hidden within us pays the tributes of his fruit to the watcher of life. Then the Son, who is perfect in every respect, that is the Word who originated through that voice, who proceeded from the height, who has within him the name, who is a light, he revealed the everlasting things, and all the unknowns were known, and those things difficult to intercept in secret he revealed. And for those who dwell in silence, the first thought he preached to them. And he revealed himself to those who dwell in darkness, and he showed himself to those who dwell in the abyss, and to those who dwell in the hidden treasuries. He told ineffable mysteries, and he taught unrepentable doctrines to all those who became sons of the light. Now the voice that originated from my thought exists as three permanences: the Father, the Mother, and the Son. So there's your trimorphic protonoia, your three forms. So this was, you have to understand, this is the real Christianity. This was what was a threat to the Romans. The Father, the Mother, and the Son, the trimorphic protonoia was the threat to the Roman Empire because they wanted an all-male hierarchy. They were not going to allow this balance of male-female to exist in rulership. So, existing perceptibly as speech, voice, was within it a word endowed with every glory, and it has three masculinities, three powers, and three names. They exist in the manner of three, which are quadrangles secretly within the silence of the ineffable one. It is he alone who came to be, that is the Christ. And as for me, I anointed him in the glory of the invisible Spirit with goodness. So, to say I anointed him, meaning Christ, remember, Christ is the anointed one. Christ in Greek means anointed one, which really is Messiah in Aramaic. So Isa, Messiah, is really Jesus' real name. There is no J. It's Isa, Messiah, Jesus the Christ, which is Greek, means the anointed one. But protonoia is saying she anointed him as the glory of the invisible Spirit with goodness. Now, the three I established alone in eternal glory over the aeons in the living water, that is, the glory that surrounds him who first came forth to the light of those exalted aeons. Remember, aeons are above archons. Archons are the egotistical rulers, the power gods and goddesses. The aeons are the luminous, angelic, blissed out light beings. And it is in the glorious light that he firmly perseveres. And he stood in his own light that surrounds him. That is the eye of the light that gloriously shines on me. He perpetuated the Father of all aeons, who I am, who am I, the thought of the Father, protonoia, that is barbello, the perfect glory in the immeasurable, invisible one who is hidden. I am the image of the invisible Spirit, and it is through me that they all took shape. I am the mother, as well as the light which she appointed as virgin, she who is called Merothea, the incomprehensible womb, and the unrestrainable and immeasurable voice. You see, this Christianity is something so foreign to a modern Christian. But again, the modern Christian had the entire story hacked to bits by the early Romans, who decided to usurp and conquer Christianity because they knew the empire was collapsing. And again, it took till about 1000 AD for the entire Roman Empire to collapse. So it was a long journey of collapsing the empire and seeing that the movement of the Christians was taking over. But this is the kind of Christianity that pervaded the entire region, which is really the entire Mediterranean, going all the way up into Turkey, all the way up into the Black Sea and the Ukraine. These are where the first Christians were living as this was emerging. Then the perfect Son revealed himself to his aeons, who originated through him. They originated through him, and he revealed them and glorified them, and he gave them thrones, and stood in the glory with which he glorified himself. They blessed the perfect Son, the Christ, the only begotten God, and they gave glory, saying, He is the Son of God, the Son of God. It is he who is the aeon of aeons, beholding the aeons which he begot. For thou hast begotten thine own desire, therefore we glorify thee. Ma mu ia on ea, the aeon of aeons, the aeon which he gave. So there's a chant in there, which is very, very heavy vowel sounds with which you will see in, like, when we get to the gospel. It's called the Gospel of the Great Invisible Spirit. You're going to see the actual practice of intoning vowels, very, very sacred vowel sounds, to activate the spiritual white body. Then, moreover, the God who was begotten gave them, the aeons, the power of life on which they might rely, and he established them. The first aeon he established over the first Armidon Nusanios Armozel. The second he established over the second aeon, Phaonios Oriel. And the third over the third aeon, Meliphanius Lois Davithi. The fourth over the fourth, Musanos Amethes Elelith. A lot of people know who Elelith is. I mean, she starts to emerge in the picture. Now, those aeons were begotten by the God who was begotten, the Christ. And these aeons received as well as gave glory. They were the first to appear exalted in their thought, and each aeon gave myriads of glories within great untraceable lights. And they all together blessed the perfect Son, the God who is begotten, and that is the Christ. So Christ is surrounded by an enormity of angelic aeons. Again, the aeons are the luminous ones, the ones who reside in the supreme joy of the creation of the perfect. And again, the archons are more concerned with power and egotism and pleasure. Then there came forth a word from the great light Elelith, and said, I am king. Who belongs to chaos and who belongs to the underworld? ? And at that instant, his light appeared radiant, endowed with the epinoia. Remember, the epinoia is the seed of light. In Greek, it means that it's the thought of light. The powers of the powers did not entreat him. And likewise, immediately there appeared to the great demon who rules over the lowest part of the underworld in chaos. He has neither form nor perfection, but on the contrary possesses the form of the glory of those begotten in the darkness. Now he is called Saklas, that is Samael Yaltabea. So here we go. This is another gospel confirming what we read in the secret gospel of John. You know, the king of the demigods is Yaltabea, but he goes by many different names, Samael and Saklas. He who had taken power, who had snatched it away from the innocent one, Sophia, who had earlier overpowered her, who is the light's epinoia, who had descended, her from whom he had come forth originally. Remember, she created Yaltabea. Sophia did. And again, the supreme God is residing inside of all the different aspects of God, from the most perfect coming down to the most egotistical, and coming down into the realm of chaos, which is your demons. The supreme God is existing and actually residing even in the dark. And it knows as soon as it wants the drama to end, it can just turn the whole thing right off. Because the whole thing is a play, it's a drama. Now, when the epinoia of the light realized that he, Yaltabeth, had begged him, the light, for another order, even though he was lower than she said, give me another order so that you may become for me a dwelling place, lest I dwell in disorder forever. And the order of the entire house of glory was agreed upon her word. A blessing was brought for her, and the higher order released it to her. And the great demon began to produce aeons in the likeness of the real aeons, except that he produced them out of his own power. So this is where it gets really tricky, because the fake god, the lower god, Yaltabea, Sakla, who goes by many names, decides to create for himself copies of angels. Then I too revealed my voice secretly, saying, cease, desist, you who tread on matter. For behold, I am coming down to the world of mortals for the sake of my portion that was in the place from the time when the innocent Sophia was conquered, she who descended, so that I might thwart their aim, which the one revealed by her appoints. And all were disturbed, each one who dwells in the house of the ignorant light, and the abyss trembled. And the archgenitor of ignorance reigned over chaos and the underworld, and produced a man in my likeness. But he neither knew that one would come for him a sentence of dissolution, nor does he recognize the power in him. But now I have come down and reached down to the chaos, and I was with my own who were in that place. I am hidden within them, empowered them, giving them shape. And from the first day until the day when I grant mighty glory to those who are mine, I will reveal myself to those who have heard my mysteries. That is the sons of the light. Now, when she's speaking in first person, again, this is protenoia. Remember, this scripture is called the trimorphic protenoia. The protenoia is the supreme ineffable God that appears in the three forms. I am their father, and I shall tell you a mystery, ineffable and undivulgeable by any mouth. Every bond I loosed from you, and the chains of the demons of the underworld I broke. These things which are bound on my members, restraining them. The high walls of darkness I overthrew, and the secure gates of those pitless ones I broke, and I smashed their bars. And the evil force, and the one who beats you, and the one who hinders you, and the tyrant and the adversary, and the one who is king, and the present enemy, indeed all these I explain to those who are mine, who are the sons of the light, in order that they might nullify them all, and be saved from all those bonds, and enter into the place where they were at first. I am the first one who descended on account of my portion, which remains, that is, the spirit that dwells in the soul, which originated from the water of life, and out of the immersion of the mysteries. And I spoke, together with the archons and authorities. Remember, archons and authorities are the egotistical God realms. For I had gone down below their language, and I spoke my mysteries to my own, a hidden mystery, and the bonds of the eternal oblivion were nullified. And I bore fruit in them, that is, the thought of the unchanging aeon, and my house and their father, and I went down to those who were mine from the first, and I reached them and broke the first strands that enslaved them. Then every one of those within me shone, and I prepared a pattern for those ineffable lights that are within me. Amen. So the protenoia is basically saying that she comes inside of all of them, and she can basically end everything and return them to their origin, which is the ineffable light. So we're about halfway right now. The Discourse of Protenoia 1, this next part is called. You can see why you couldn't sell this story in a church, because it's so sophisticated and it's so advanced, but it shows all these different levels of consciousness, and God and goddess and family and even creatures, that all of it is God, the supreme God inside of it, which means the supreme God is allowing it all to play itself out. And eventually the egotistical chaotic realms, because when one ego encounters another, they fight, and you have endless wars, and eventually the desire to fight and conquer will subside. It may take endless thousands of years, but eventually that will play itself out like a drama. And eventually, when two tigers are tired of fighting each other, they look at each other, and if they're immortal, you can never kill your opponent. You eventually realize it's a game. So the discourse of Protonoia 1. I am the voice that appeared through my thought, for I am he who is syzagetic. Since I am called the thought of the invisible one, since I am called the unchanging speech, I am called she who is syzagetic. I am a single one, since I am undefiled. I am the mother of the voice, speaking in many ways, completing the all. It is in me that knowledge dwells, the knowledge of things everlasting. It is I who speak within every creature. It was known by the all, and I was known by the all. It is I who lift up the speech of the voice to the ears of those who have known me. That is the sons of the light. So again, this is showing a feminine, supreme being. Oh my God. The Romans did not like this. Now I have come to the second time in the likeness of a female, and I have spoken with them, and I shall tell them of the coming end of the aeon, and teach them of the beginning of the aeon to come, the one without change, the one in which our appearance will be changed. We shall be purified within those aeons from which I revealed myself in the thought of the likeness of my masculinity. I settled among those who are worthy in the thought of my changeless aeon. For I shall tell you a mystery in this particular aeon, and tell you about the forces that are in it. The birth beckons, hour begets hour, day begets day. The months made known the month. Time has gone around succeeding time. You see, do you understand what's going on here? This is a time dilation. Time has gone around succeeding time. This is a time trap. This particular aeon has completed in this fashion, and it was estimated that it was short, for it was a finger that released a finger, and a joint that was separated from a joint. Then when the great authorities knew that the time of fulfillment had appeared, just as the pangs of the parturient, the time had drawn near, so as also the destruction approached, altogether the elements trembled, and the foundations of the underworld and the ceilings of chaos shook, and a great fire shone within their midst, and the rocks and the earth were shaken like a reed shaken by the wind. And the lots of fate and those who apportion the domiciles were greatly disturbed over great thunder, and the thrones and the powers were disturbed, since they were overturned, and their king was afraid. And those who pursue fate paid their allotment of visits to the path, and they said to the powers, what is this disturbance and the shaking that has come upon us through a voice belonging to the exalted speech? And our entire habitation has been shaken, and the entire circuit of the path of ascent has been met with destruction, and the path upon which we go, which takes us up to the archgenitor of our birth, has ceased to be established for us. Wow, so these are the gods. They're actually terrified right now because of what's coming from above them. Then the powers answered, saying, we too are at loss about it, since we did not know what was responsible for it. But arise, let us go up to the archgenitor and ask him. And the powers all gathered and went up to the archgenitor, and they said to him, where is your boasting in which you boast? Did we not hear you say, I am God, I am your father, and it is I who begot you, and there is none beside me? Now behold, there has appeared a voice belonging to that invisible speech of the aeon, which we know not, and we ourselves did not recognize to whom we belong. For that voice which we listen to is foreign to us, and we did not recognize it. We did not know whence it was, and it came and put fear in our midst, and the weakening of the members of our arms. So now let us weep and mourn most bitterly. As for the future, let us make our entire flight before we are imprisoned perforce and taken down to the bosom of the underworld. For already the slackening of our bondage has approached, and the times are cut short, and the days have shortened, but our time has been fulfilled, and the weeping and the destruction has approached us, so we may be taken to the place we recognize. For as for our tree from which we grew, the fruit of ignorance is what it was, and also its leaves. It is death that dwells in them, and darkness dwells under the shadow of its boughs. And it was in deceit and lust that we harvested this tree through which ignorant chaos became for us a dwelling place. See, this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which causes chaos because everyone interprets good and evil egotistically. They oppose each other, and they say, well, sorry, only the born-again Christians are going to heaven, the Catholics are going to hell, and then the Protestants are going to hell. So you have... Everybody thinks they're right and the other one's wrong. That's the poison. The poison is judgment. The knowledge that causes a man or a woman to take judgment upon themselves is the poison. There is no good and evil. Because as soon as you believe in good and evil, then there's good and evil. There really is. But it's created in the mind. So the ignorant chaos, the world becomes an ignorant chaos. Each ego thinking they have it right and the other wrong. So that's why it's a poison. For behold, even he, the archgender of our birth, about whom we boast, even he did not know this speech. And that is Yaldabaoth, the king, I believe is one and the same as Jupiter, the chief Roman god, and Zeus, the Greek, is the same person. So now, O sons of the thought, listen to me, to the speech of the mother of your mercy. For you have become worthy of the mystery, hidden from the aeons, so that you might receive it. And the consummation of this particular aeon and the evil life has approached. And there dawns the beginning of the aeon to come, which has no change forever. I am androgynous. I am mother and I am father. Since I copulate with myself and with those who love me, and it is through me alone that the all stands firm. I am the womb that gives shape to the all by giving birth to the light that shines in splendor. I am the aeon to come. I am the fulfillment of the all. That is Merothia, the glory of the mother. I cast voice speech on into the ears of those who know me. And I am inviting you to the exalted, perfect light. Moreover, as for this light, when you enter it, you will be glorified by those who give glory, and those who enthrone will enthrone you. You will accept robes from those who give robes, and the baptizers will baptize you, and you will become gloriously glorious, the way you first were when you were light. So it's the humans. The reason every one of us is here is every one of us took in the knowledge of good and evil, which is a trap. But you see, the way down is a drama. It's a whole drama. It's not like this drama was to eventually teach us that you see, to judge for yourself is the error. The truth is, in the angelic realms, no single person creates or judges alone. It's all done in oneness, in togetherness. You can't possibly judge even a car accident alone. Because if I see a car accident from this angle and this car hits this, I've only seen one angle. But if I have a million people around the car accident holographically, every single one who describes the car accident is actually telling the truth from their perspective. But the problem with polarity matrix is if I say I'm right and you're wrong, then we're going to get into a fight, aren't we? And then and that conflict wastes our spiritual energy. So what the protanoia is saying is that we will eventually be given our light body back when this whole drama is done, when we're done with it. So when you see a world frustrated and about to go to a war, we still haven't learned. So we seem to need to go through this again because we still haven't got it. That none of us are right. None of us have won the argument. None of us are better than the other. And if we hate another for any reason, race, rhyme, or reason, we're ensnared in the trap. And I hid myself in everyone, and revealed myself within them, and every mind seeking me longed for me, for it is I who gave shape to the all when it had no form. and I transform their forms into other forms until the time when a form will be given to the all. It is through me that the voice originated. It is I who put the breath within my own, and I cast into them the eternal Holy Spirit, and I ascended and entered my light. I went up upon my branch and sat there among the sons of the holy light, and I withdrew to their dwelling place, which, and then there's some missing text, become glorious. Amen. So that is, and there's only one more part here, the trimorphic protonoi, and then we're at the end. I think we're going to make it because I've got 20 minutes left. On fate 2, I am the Word who dwells in the ineffable voice. I dwell in undefiled light, and a thought revealed itself perceptibly through the great speech of the mother. Although it is a male offspring that supports me as my foundation, and it is speech exists from the beginning and the foundations of the all. But there is a light that dwells hidden in silence, and it was first to come forth, whereas she, the mother, alone exists as silence. I alone am the Word, ineffable, unpolluted, immeasurable, inconceivable. It, the Word, which is logos in Greek, is a hidden light bearing a fruit of life, pouring forth a living water from the invisible, unpolluted, immeasurable spring. That is the unproducible voice of the glory of the mother, the glory of the offspring of God, a male virgin by virtue of a hidden intellect, that is the silence hidden from the all, being unreproducible and immeasurable light, the source of the all, the root of the entire aeon. It is the foundation that supports every movement of the aeons that belong to the mighty glory. It is the foundation of every foundation. It is the breath of the powers. It is the eye of the three permanences, which exist as voice by virtue of thought, and it is a word by virtue of speech, and it was sent to illumine those who dwell in the darkness. Now, behold, I will reveal to you my mysteries, since you are my fellow brethren, and you shall know them all. It says 5 lines are missing. I told them about my mysteries that exist in the incomprehensible, inexpressible aeons. I taught them the mysteries through the voice that exists within a perfect intellect, and I became a foundation for the all, and I empowered them. The second time I came in the speech of my voice. I gave shape to those who took shape until their consummation. The third time I revealed myself to them in their tense as word, meaning logos. And I revealed myself in the likeness of their shape, and I wore everyone's garment, and I hid myself within them, and they did not know the one whom empowers me. For I dwell within all the sovereignties of the powers and within the angels, and in every movement that exists in all matter. I mean, in every movement that exists in all matter. And I hid myself within them until I revealed myself to my brethren. And none of them, the powers, knew me, although it is I who work in them. Rather, they thought that the all was created by them, since they are ignorant, not knowing their root, the place in which they grew. I am the light that illuminates the all. I am the light that rejoices in my brethren. For I came down to the world of mortals on account of the spirit that remains in that which descended and came forth from the innocent Sophia. I came and I delivered, and I went to, again, 5 lines are missing, which he had formerly, and I gave to him from the water of life, which strips him of the chaos, that is, the uttermost darkness that exists inside the entire abyss, that is, the thought of corporeal and the psychic. All these I put it on, and I stripped him of it, and I put upon him a shining light, that is the knowledge of the thought of the fatherhood. So this is really incredible, because the abyss of darkness and the chaos, again, is caused by the madness of the human race. Each group thinking they're right and the other wrong. Each country thinking that they need to conquer the world because they're better than the other. It's really amazing how when you see that everything comes from that which we believe. If we all suddenly got it, that we took in this knowledge of good and evil, every single one of us, because as soon as you end it, as soon as you end the judgment, the bliss comes, the supreme light in the bliss comes, and it appears inside of you, just exactly as trimorphic protonoia is saying, that she is sitting inside of everything, just waiting for it to reveal itself. And I delivered him to those who give robes, Yamon, Elaso, Amenai, and they covered him with a robe from the robes of the light. And I delivered him into the baptizers, and they baptized him, Micaeus, Mycar, Menesius, and they immersed him in the spring of the water of life. And I delivered him to those who enthrone, Burial, Nuthan, Sebenai, and they enthroned him from the throne of glory. And I delivered him to those who glorify, Oriam, Elian, Phariel, and they glorified him with the glory of the fatherhood. And those who snatched away, Camalel, Somblo, and the servant. There's some missing words here, actually. The text is damaged. And they took him into the light place of his fatherhood, and he received the 5 seals from the light of the mother, Protonoia. And it was granted him to partake of the mystery of knowledge, and he became a light in light. And we're almost at the end here. We got a lot of damaged text here, and the damaged text is just because these were leather-bound manuscripts, and they were stored in clay jars, and the young boy Muhammad Ali, his mom burned some of them and damaged some of them. She didn't know what they were. I was dwelling in them in the form of each one's. The archons thought I was their Christ. Indeed, I dwell in everyone. Indeed, within those in whom I reveal myself as light, I elude the archons. I am their beloved, for in that place I clothe myself as the son of the archgenitor, and was like him until the end of his degree, which is the ignorance of chaos. So Jesus, this is actually a copy of the Gospel of Philip right here. This is all in Philip. I am their beloved, for in that place I clothe myself as the son of the archgenitor, and is like him until the end of his degree, which is the ignorance of chaos. And among the angels I revealed myself in their likeness, and among the powers as if I were one of them, but among the sons of men as if I were a son of man, even though I am the father of everyone. Wow. That's a copy of Philip. I hid myself within them all until I revealed myself among my members, which are mine, and I taught them about the ineffable ordinances and about the brethren, but they are inexpressible to every sovereignty and every ruling power except the sons of the light alone. That is the ordinance of the Father. These are the glories that are higher than every glory, that is the 5 seals, complete by virtue of intellect. He who possesses the 5 seals of these particular names has stripped off the garments of ignorance and put on a shining light, and nothing will appear to him that belongs to the powers of the archons. Within those of this sort, darkness will dissolve and ignorance will die, and the thought of the creature which is scattered will present a single appearance, and dark chaos will dissolve. It says 6 lines are broken. And until I reveal myself to all my fellow brethren, and until I gather together my fellow brethren within my eternal kingdom, and I proclaim to them the ineffable 5 seals in order that I might abide in them, and they also might abide in me. As for me, I put on Jesus. I bore him from the cursed wood, and I established him in the dwelling places of his father. And those who watched over their dwelling places did not recognize me, for I am unrestrainable together with my seed, and my seed, which is mine, I shall place into the holy light with an incomprehensible silence. Amen. So that's the end of the trimorphic protonoia. Very See, each one of these, it's 6:18 p.m. right now, which is the golden number. I just looked up at the time. Each one of these manuscripts has interconnecting confirmation of the same story, but each manuscript gives us a deeper level of the arrangement of the different levels of the creation. And even though we're in the lowest, because we were cast to the lowest region of all matter, we have this luminous seed of light that was planted inside of every one of us. Every single one of us has it, which is our way out of the suffering and the ignorance. And the importance of Christ saying not to judge, lest you be judged. It's not a mild statement at all. We are, our judgments upon each other are what isolate us from loving each other. We say bad things about each other, and when we cast judgment, we no longer love. The moment you cast judgment on somebody, you can't love. The moment you cast a judgment on anybody, including in your family, you can't love them anymore, because you've cast a judgment, because you think you know. And you see, it's tricky, because we have to have discretion in life. We can't just do anything. But what we've lost is the ability to feel the interconnectedness of the all through life and light itself within us. So the knowledge that causes us to judge is what turns this realm into an ignorant realm of chaos. It's total chaos down here. I mean, look at the world. It's total chaos. So many different opposing views, so many different ideas. This movement goes against that movement. It doesn't matter where you turn. It's all a game. It's like a basketball game, a football game. The whole thing is a drama. And you have to eventually realize that the game and the drama and the judgment and the desire to conquer the other is so primitive that there is no real enjoyment there. Like the king of a sport, like let's just say, who won the gold medal in the Olympics, temporarily feels like the king of the world in their sport. I'm the best. And then, some years later, somebody outdoes them and they're no longer important. You see, the satisfaction of winning the game is so temporal. It offers no real substance. It doesn't give you a lasting substance. But the moment you end the conflict within, the moment you totally stop judging within, there is no more war inside the mind anymore. The war is over. And this astounding peace arises in the mind, and then eventually astounding bliss. This astounding, you can't even believe that the universe has this much bliss for you. You can't even believe it until it starts happening to you. When I was meditating this morning, actually I started meditating later today, there's so much bliss, you wouldn't believe how much is there. You would think, you can take ayahuasca, you can take DMT. It won't even compare as a tiny drop compared to what is in this consciousness. And it might help you, because if you're suffering and you don't know what it feels like to be open, those things might help you. I'm not judging them at all, because you can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you there's far more than you can possibly imagine. Don't think for a minute that the enlightened state lacks anything. Don't think for a minute that you'll go into this state and then think, well, what else is there? What's next? because I've already experienced this. Well, what else is there? Tell me what else is there. It's like, you won't be doing that in this state, because this state is so final and it is so complete that there is no end to it. It doesn't stop. There's more and there's more and there's more wealth in the spirit than any human soul can possibly imagine. So yes, we, in the grand scale of this, we are at the bottom, and it probably gets worse than this. And there are places on this earth where there have been wars, and there is suffering and chaos, and they exist inside of every single country. That you couldn't find a hell any worse than what life is like for some humans on this earth right now. You couldn't find a hell any worse. So how do you get out of it? Why are so many people taking fentanyl and ending their lives? Why is it so epidemic? Because they're in so much pain, so much suffering. And what we've done now in our world with these lockdowns is we've created even more suffering than there already is. And we're saying, you have to somehow survive in this. We're going to take away a third of all your jobs, and you have to survive. You have to figure out how to survive. And we're not going to reduce the price of anything. In fact, we're going to make everything get more expensive. It's in total madness down here. No wonder over 150,000 Americans ended their own lives last year. Not to mention how many people ended their own lives in all the other countries of the world. So we have to find the answer. Could it be as simple as suspending all judgment? Just try it. Just try in your meditation that you never judge yourself or others, no matter what. Just end it. And you'll see that there is no more cause to anger. There's no more cause to violence, because you're not going to judge anybody, and you're not going to go to war with somebody that you're not angry at, unless your government tells you to, and you have to. I don't know. And what if you don't even judge that? Because when you see the dilemma and you see the grand divine comedy that Dante experienced, that all the lower realms are in, it is a divine comedy, because it's total utter madness. The people actually think they're better than the other because they have more money, they have more resources, and it's so temporary. These people who sit on these thrones, it is so temporary that they'll be sitting on those thrones of wealth and power, and then their lives will come to an end, and then we'll see who they really are, when this is all over. So we all have to, the Gnostic way, and again, it's really wrong to call them Gnostic Christians. These are the original apostles. All of these manuscripts are accounts by the original apostles. The Secret Gospel of John is the Apostle John. It's nobody else. So why was it thrown out? It was thrown out, and you can see this consistently as I share these with you, is the Romans and even the Jews themselves did not want Jesus speaking and representing the Jewish religion, saying that women were equal to men in the eyes of God. No way. They didn't want that, because only a male priest can enter the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement, not a woman. And that's where it gets even more amazing. See, you have the Christian scriptures that are testaments to what Jesus, Isa spoke, but then you have the historical record in the story and the historical record that surrounds the history of the religion. And that gives you the body of it. But then when you see the manuscripts that were thrown out, which is over 2/3 of all testimony, we've got a whole other story here. This doesn't look anything like the Christianity of the Apostle Paul at all. This is not Paul's Christianity. But you, again, from last week, you can see where I showed you in the book of John, chapter 8, where Jesus is talking about this egotistical God that many Jews were mistaken, and they were worshiping the wrong God, who's Yaltabaoth. So it's very clear that modern Christians don't have an answer as to why Jesus was telling the Jews in the temple that they were worshiping the wrong God. It wasn't the God they thought they were worshiping. They were deluded. They were worshiping a murderer and a liar and an egotistical God. So with that, we'll see everybody next week. Thanks for listening. And we seem to be getting about 400 views a week on these to 600. So it's worth me doing this. I know it's very foreign territory if you haven't read these manuscripts. Or it's also very difficult to try and read these on your own, because the first time you read through the Gnostic Gospels on your own, you're lost. First time I read through them, some of them I understood, and then I was lost again. But it gets more clear as you read all of them, and then you read them again, and you read them again, and you read them again, and you start to, like, don't get caught in names, and because different cultures have different names for the same deity. Look at the characteristics of the deity. Look at the characteristics of the story, and you'll start to see that other cultures actually have this same characteristic in a character that goes by a different name. So we know, because I've read many different examples in the Gnostic literature of this lower God that Jesus is warning the Jews about in the canonical book of John in chapter 8. And it really comes to a head in John 8:44, where Jesus tells them that the God you're worshiping is a murderer and a liar. So how could the Jews be worshiping a murderer and a liar when their God is the same God as Jesus Christ? Well, that's why it's important that these discoveries of these manuscripts are brought to light, because we can see the picture much more clearly. So next week we'll go into another. There's a lot of these manuscripts. There's a real lot of them. So they get, some of them are much more simple. This one is quite difficult. The structure of it is quite difficult to get into, because it introduces a substratum that is mother feminine, that precedes the masculine image of even Christ himself in the flesh. And you're going to see, because in what's called the Acts of John, you're going to see Jesus shapeshift, transfigure in the light, strip off his clothing, and he turns himself from a man into a woman. And oh my God, is that ever shocking? So that he's showing the apostles the physical form. Don't look at God as a man. Don't look at God as a woman. It's beyond it. It's trimorphic. It's only appearing. You see, at the end of what we just read, Jesus appeared to the angels as an angel, and to men as a man, and to gods as a god, even though his true power hid itself from everyone. But his true power is, when we say the word mother, of course, a child is born in a mother's womb. It's not born in a man's womb. So the language of mother is birther. So birther. So Jesus in his original was birthed by mother energy. But you can't really think of it in terms of a human mother. You can't really think of it in terms of that. We just lack the language to describe it correctly. But he was birthed in the creation, so that is who protonoi is, which is really ineffable divine mother. So just wait till we get to the Acts of John, and which was banned by Pope Leo the Great. It's gonna blow your mind, because there's a scene in there. This is before the crucifixion, where the disciple John leans up against Jesus, and his hands go right through Jesus. He's a hologram. He's not even physically real anymore. This is before he was crucified. It's not after. So it's not a vision. Have a great week.